The year is 2036. The Arctic, once a silent expanse of ice, is now the world's final frontier, a silent, frozen battleground. The Great Melt has revealed what nations have craved for centuries, trillions of dollars in untapped oil and gas locked beneath the pole. As humanity's thirst for energy grows ever more desperate, the stage is set for a new kind of conflict. A war fought in the bone-chilling dark at the very top of the world. This is not just a simulation. This is a glimpse into a future that could be just over the horizon. Welcome to the Arctic War. For decades, scientists warned of a warming planet. For politicians, it was a distant problem. But by 2036, the consequences are undeniable. The Arctic sea ice, which once covered millions of square kilometers, has receded to historic lows. Shipping lanes that were once impassable for most of the year are now open waters. More importantly, vast resource-rich seabeds are now accessible for drilling. Satellite surveys confirmed the whispers of geologists. The Arctic floor holds nearly a quarter of the world's undiscovered hydrocarbon reserves. Russia, with its extensive Arctic coastline and long-held ambitions in the region, saw this as a golden opportunity. From its heavily fortified bases in the Murmansk Oblast, the Kremlin declared vast swathes of the newly opened ocean as its sovereign territory, citing historical claims and the need to secure its economic future. The world watched as Russia's Northern Fleet, a force reimagined for 21st century warfare, began to project its power across the polar cap. This unilateral move sent shockwaves through the international community. NATO, long wary of Russian expansionism, could not stand by. The alliance, led by its northern members like Norway, Canada, and supported by the formidable power of the United States, invoked Article 5, declaring that a threat to one is a threat to all. The Arctic was no longer a no-man's land. It had become the most volatile geopolitical flashpoint on Earth. The question was no longer if a conflict would erupt, but when. As tensions reached a breaking point, both sides amassed their most advanced military hardware along the new northern frontier. This was a war to be fought not just with steel, but with silicon and strategy. Russia's revitalized Arctic Command represented the pinnacle of its military modernization. At its disposal were 2,000 autonomous combat drones, a deadly mix of aerial and undersea platforms designed to operate in the harshest conditions imaginable. The pride of the Northern Fleet were its 6 Belgorod-class stealth submarines, ghost-like behemoths capable of launching Poseidon nuclear-capable torpedoes from beneath the polar ice. Supporting them were 12 mobile launchers for the Zircon hypersonic missile, weapons that could strike any target in the Arctic within minutes, rendering traditional defenses almost obsolete. NATO's response was a testament to its collective strength and technological superiority. The Joint Arctic Force, or JF, was assembled with unprecedented speed. Its core consisted of 3 nuclear-powered carrier strike groups, floating cities of war projected into the frigid waters of the North Atlantic. From their decks, over 400 F-35 and next-generation fighter jets could establish air dominance over the vast, empty skies. But NATO's true ace in the hole was its orbital support network. A constellation of military satellites provided unparalleled intelligence, real-time battlefield imagery, and secure communications, linking every ship, jet, and soldier into a single, cohesive fighting force. On paper, the forces seemed balanced, a perfect storm of offensive and defensive capabilities. Russia's advantage lay in its proximity and specialized hardware. NATO's strength was in its scale and technological integration. The world held its breath as these two titans prepared for a clash in the cold. The first shot of the Arctic War was not a thunderous explosion, but a silent, ghostly ripple beneath the ice. On a dark October morning, Russian stealth submarines operating deep within the polar ice pack launched a coordinated torpedo strike against a NATO reconnaissance flotilla. The Poseidon drones, undetectable by conventional sonar, weaved through underwater ice canyons before striking their targets. The attack was swift, brutal, and devastating. 3 NATO frigates were lost with all hands, their wreckage sinking into the abyssal depths before a distress call could even be sent. The war had begun. NATO's response was immediate and overwhelming. They weren't fighting blind. Their orbital network had detected the faint thermal blooms of the torpedo launches through the ice. Within moments, the coordinates were relayed to a B-21 Raider stealth bomber circling high in the stratosphere. The bomber released a payload of satellite-guided icebreaker munitions. These kinetic penetrators slammed into the ice shelf at hypersonic speeds, shattering acres of ice and exposing the Russian submarines below. The sky, once serene and lit by the ethereal glow of the aurora borealis, was now filled with the contrails of missiles and the swarm-like buzzing of thousands of drones. The naval clashes that followed were unlike anything seen in modern history. Russian cruisers, their decks coated in ice, fired hypersonic missiles that streaked across the sky. NATO destroyers, shielded by advanced Aegis combat systems, launched counter-missiles and deployed electronic warfare decoys, turning the battlefield into a chaotic ballet of light and sound. Drone swarms from both sides engaged in vicious dogfights above the waves, their machine guns chattering in the frozen air. Explosions rocked the sea, sending plumes of fire and water high into the Arctic night. Aircraft carriers, encased in protective layers of frozen sea spray, became floating fortresses, their flight decks a frantic scene of launching and recovering jets amidst a raging snowstorm. This was warfare at the edge of the world, a brutal, high-tech struggle for dominance over a frozen wasteland. The conflict raged for days, a brutal stalemate played out in the twilight of the polar winter. Then, the incident that everyone feared finally happened. During a deep-sea engagement near the North Pole, a Russian Akula-class submarine suffered a catastrophic hull breach after colliding with an uncharted undersea ridge. Its nuclear reactor went critical. The resulting underwater explosion was immense, vaporizing a square mile of the ice cap and sending a massive radioactive plume into the atmosphere. The world recoiled in horror. The specter of nuclear contamination turned a regional conflict into a global crisis. This was the turning point. With human crews at extreme risk from both combat and radiation, both Russia and NATO made a fateful decision. They fully activated their AI-controlled warfighting systems. The gloves were off. Human operators were now relegated to a supervisory role as artificial intelligence took command of the Arctic battlefield. The war accelerated at a terrifying pace. AI-driven drone swarms, numbering in the tens of thousands, executed complex, coordinated attacks that no human team could counter. They hunted in packs, sharing tactical data in microseconds, identifying and eliminating targets with ruthless efficiency. Thermal imaging displays showed the stark, cold reality of this new warfare. Glowing hotspots of machinery and explosions against the deep, freezing blackness of the Arctic. Real-time radar overlays became a dizzying web of friendly and enemy tracks, all moving and engaging at the speed of thought. Missile launchers, guided by predictive algorithms, fired volleys that perfectly anticipated enemy movements. The war had become a battle between two competing artificial minds, a cold, logical, and inhumanly fast slaughter. The human element was gone. Only the machines remained, fighting a war of pure logic and destruction under the silent, watching stars. After 10 days of relentless AI-driven warfare, a chilling silence began to fall over the Arctic. The simulation's conclusion was stark and devoid of triumph. The losses on both sides were staggering. Russia had successfully secured several key oil and gas fields in the eastern Arctic, achieving its primary strategic goal. Its hardened bases and shorter supply lines had allowed it to establish a firm hold on the territory it had claimed. However, this victory came at an unimaginable cost. The Northern Fleet was decimated, its most advanced submarines and surface vessels now resting at the bottom of the Barents Sea. NATO, in turn, had succeeded in holding the vital Greenland-Iceland-UK gap, ensuring the security of the North Atlantic shipping lanes. Its technological superiority had inflicted punishing losses on Russian forces, but its own fleets were battered and broken. Multiple carrier groups were combat ineffective, and the financial and material cost of the war was astronomical. The AI simulation crunched the final numbers, running through millions of possible outcomes. The result was always the same. There was no victory, no parades, no celebrations, only a shattered peace and a poisoned frontier. The simulation's final analysis appeared on the screen in cold block letters. No victor. Only ice and silence remained. The war for the Arctic's riches had impoverished both sides beyond measure. The final image fades. Snow, pure and white, begins to fall softly, blanketing the twisted metal of destroyed warships and the dark, oily stains on the ice. The aurora borealis returns, its gentle colors painting the sky above a scene of utter desolation. The Arctic, for a time, is quiet once more. The great powers have retreated to lick their wounds, leaving behind a graveyard of their ambitions. But the resources are still there, waiting. The tensions, though submerged, still simmer. The Arctic sleeps again, until the next war begins. Join the command center for the next simulation. Our analysis moves to the roof of the world. India versus China in the Himalayan War of 2037. Subscribe now and don't miss the future of conflict.